Hey there, I thought I'd take you on a tour of the outside of the Sears Hollywood bungalow that Amos Morgan built in 1917 here at 216 Maple Avenue in Corry, Pennsylvania. If you look up on that second story dormer, that was very characteristic of the Sears bungalow kit houses. It's a double windowed that leads into a massive, huge master bedroom suite. This spectacular porch, which covers the full 30-foot width of the house, is an architectural marvel just on its own. It is connected to the house. It's not a continuation into the house, so it is a separate room almost. Originally it was an open porch, I found out today from the window guys, but it now has enclosed windows which you keep open, keep cool in the summer, and then close them up tight, and you have an extra barrier against the Lake Erie effect snows and winds that get here. This is the house that Amos Morgan built, but it will soon have a sign hanging over the front door here that will say Clarissa's house. Clarissa was Amos's mother. She never got to see the house her son built, but I do believe she was one of the reasons he built it. So let's walk around this way. This tree has only grown up in the last 2 years. There was a giant bush here that had been here for many years, and an ice flow off the roof came down and split it wide open, so I cut it down to the ground, and all of a sudden this tree appeared. I don't really know if it's related to the bush that was here before, but it has grown like a wildfire, and it's taken its place. Now the exterior of the house, as you can see, is brick and stucco. The brick and the stucco is really a veneer, because the house itself, which came as a kit, was built with a wood frame, and some of these Sears bungalows were shingles. Some of them had other types of exterior, but if you wanted to really upgrade, you'd have to hire a mason or a bricklayer, and they would come in and put just a single layer of bricks around, so the bricks aren't really the structural part of the house. They're more decorative, and not very common to Corry, Pennsylvania. If you look down the street, there's not another brick house in sight. So I think Amos Morgan was aiming for something that was a little bit more spectacular than what had been here before. If you look up, there's this overhanging roof and these 5-piece brackets that support it, and those are specific to Sears kit houses. You don't find those on any other type of house, and it's one of the identifiers and one of the ways in which you can authenticate that you have in fact a Sears home. Now the brick is takes care of itself. It's not too much care that it required. Every once in a while you gotta put some more cement in. That chimney is really not functional. There's a gas fireplace in the living room, which worked when I got here, but I stopped using it because I didn't really care for it too much. And there's another fireplace up in the master bedroom, but it's been shut down because of new code regulations. And every once in a while a piece of soffit wood will come out, and I've got my pal, my local guy, Corry Jewel. He comes over, he fixes that stuff right up. And so let's go down this side of the house. Up there is that portal, which is something that I just learned. That has to be open in the winter, because otherwise the roof, the attic, which is only a 3-foot crawl space, will just heat up, and then the heat in the attic will melt the snow and ice on the roof, and then it will refreeze, and then pretty soon you got an ice buildup. So this winter we're going to use the natural ventilation of the house. There's no insulation in that attic. It didn't come with these houses back in 1917. And so we put new mesh, 1/4-inch mesh in the portals, on either side of the house, and the wind will blow through there this winter and hopefully keep the attic cool. And with the metal roof, it's got new rods on it to keep the ice from flowing down. Then that type of destruction that I saw a couple of winters ago when I lost that bush in the front will no longer be a problem, taking care of the ice flows. So here we go, we're coming down the side of the house. Over there is the Constance stage where we had the great Constance Forest Folk Festival, and there you can see the Constance Forest growing and growing and growing. And we come down. This is all first floor. The second floor doesn't sit entirely over the first floor. The second floor is called a half story because it's a bungalow style. The bungalows became popular in Southern California and Hollywood in the early 1900s. And so when Sears was marketing their kit houses, they were marketing the bungalow, the Sears Hollywood, to upscale folks who wanted to be connected to Hollywood even though they only lived in Corry, Pennsylvania. If you can't go to Hollywood, you bring Hollywood to your town. So we enter into the backyard here, which is closed with a fence I built. Pay no attention to that old garage on the side there. Amos did not build that. That's an artifact from the original house on the next lot over where the forest is now. And it's a major headache, but I just got new window in that main garage. That's in really fine shape. That's a 2-car garage. It opens from either direction. I can come in from the alley behind the backyard, or I can bring another car in through the driveway in the front. Today the window guys came in and replaced that window in the basement, and that board is what I had there before. And they had the screen mesh over the basement because originally those basement windows, I understand, were meant to be open and closed, but that becomes kind of a chore to go down there and open them in the summer and close them in the winter. So now they're pretty much closed tight, so the mesh doesn't really do much, but it's part of the house, so I don't change anything if I don't have to. This is new, these doors into the stairs down into the basement. All I had before was an old piece of plywood that I had thrown some rubber matting on top of, and it leaked down in there. So I hired Corry to come in, and he put these storm doors on, and he went in there into the stairs down into the basement, and he fixed up the whole stairs so they don't leak anymore. So we're getting the water out of the basement. Up there is what's called the sleeping porch. It got a new window today too, and if I could get those screens all in there in the summertime, that's meant to be used as a place to sleep where you can cool off, because you open up all the windows and you have screens, and it can be quite nice. Right now I use it as my dart room, and I keep some instruments in there. So we come along, and there's this little looks like a back porch. And the original model of the Sears Hollywood showed a porch off the side of the house, but I believe there's no room, I'll show you on the other side, for a side porch. And so this, I think Amos decided with the materials to build a side porch. He added it to the back, and by closing it in, it stays relatively warm in the winter. And I use it as a workspace, a storage area. If someone really wanted to expand the relatively small kitchen, they could open that hole up and you have a whole extra part of the kitchen. But so here we go, we're coming around the back of the house. This little walkway's kind of a pain because ice forms on in the wintertime and it's real slippery coming down here, but I'm taking care of that with my new plan for insulating. And I have this rail to hold on to. And I throw a ton of salt in here. So that's just one of the things. And then you come through here and you got the garage on one side, the house on the other. And this is this kind of crummy old fence or gate that I built because I was thinking I might get a dog, but I don't think that's going to happen. Now we come down this side of the house. There's the inside of the garage with my Mercedes, which is in my other antique, I guess. And there's the A little back room. We're coming down. There are those 5-piece brackets on this side. There's the other portal that connects the air ventilation in the attic. Got the basement windows. You got a kitchen window here. You're coming along, and this set of 3 windows was advertised as having a bench seat in the dining room, but that bench seat is a full-length radiator. You know, so when you build a house in Northwest Pennsylvania, you got to take into account that a design that might work well in Oklahoma, where it's not as cold, you're going to have to adapt. So you got to get heat in here. So you lose the bench seat and you gain a radiator. And we keep coming on down. And the window guys today, the first time they had been all the way through the house, they told me that when they entered the house, they were amazed at just how deep it is, how long it is. And really, it looks like a relatively small house from the front, but when you get to the side and you get into it, it's really a massive piece of architecture. And the man who built it was a millionaire, or close to it. One of Corry's finest early real estate builders, furniture builder. He did it all. Amos Morgan, and his parents, Russell and Clarissa Morgan, are very much part of this story. These 2 bushes have been here since I moved in. Some home inspector dude came along and said, those bushes are too close to the house. And I said, well, they've been that way for at least 50 years, so I'm not going to change them just because some guy with a $100 certificate says they got to be cut down. So here we come on the other side of the massive front porch with its own ventilation, cross ventilation. And that's the amazing thing to me about this house, now that I understand it more, is the absolute brilliance of the design, so that you don't need air conditioning in the summertime, particularly around here where the average temp is about 80. And you close it up tight in the winter and you still get ventilation, so you don't get that cramped, closed-in feeling that modern houses have when all they have is insulation, 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 and you feel like you can't breathe. So this house would have been I wouldn't call it a mansion, but it was certainly owned by millionaires, Russell Morgan or Amos Morgan, and definitely the first time the house was sold by Amos to Clifford Bliss in 1921. Clifford Bliss was definitely a millionaire. He left his entire $2.5 million estate to the town of Corry and its charities, and some of those charities are still collecting from the trust funds that were set up by Clifford and Harriet Bliss. I don't know if they were Corry's first couple through the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, but Clifford Bliss was the president of the Ajax Ironworks company, and that was one of Corry's founding manufacturing plants. So here we come back around, we're in the front. I got these stairs. I'm gonna have to get those pointed. That's twice I've had to have new cement pointed, but that's just one of the maintenance issues that you deal with an old house. But otherwise, I mean, it is turnkey condition, and I could stay here if I wanted to. I've been thinking maybe my next job will be a curator of a living museum, and I'll open the house up and give tours to the field trips coming over from the Corry schools. Who knows, maybe I'll have a Halloween scare night, or a Christmas in the Bliss house, or Clarissa's special Thanksgiving treat. Who knows? There's lots that can be done with an old house like this, and doesn't just have to fall into disrepair and end up being repossessed by the bank and sold at pennies on the dollar like you see so many. So give it a a look, and if you live in Corry, you want to come down and take a look, I'd be happy to show you around and tell you a little bit more about Clarissa's house. Take it easy.